I'm Inspector Ken Thrower, Traffic Section, Calgary City Police. This morning, approximately 8 o'clock, up at 36th Street Northeast and Whitehorn Drive, a female, 60 years old, was on the platform, was walking southbound, and at that time, you could see in the video, the lights and the bars had been down. At this time, a LRT train goes by southbound, and this female then walks eastbound across the northbound tracks. There's no train coming at that time. She walks out towards 36th Street and appeared to be distracted or preoccupied, not too sure. She glances down at her cell phone. She almost walked out in front of the traffic on 36th Street, traffic going northbound. She kind of jumps back, spins around, and it looked like she was in a little bit of haste or maybe confused, not too sure. She then walks westbound, back across the tracks for the northbound trains. Lights and bars are still down, and she walks right in front of the train coming, and on very unfortunate circumstances, she was hit by the train at that point. Any questions?
Maybe just say it again, just so you can recap it. She was on the platform and walked out into traffic, turned around, and that came back across the track?
She was on the platform walking southbound, so she's in between the two tracks, southbound and northbound. So she's walking on the platform, walking southbound. A train goes by southbound tracks. You can see the train go by. She is walking as the train goes by. She walks up to the tracks, crosses over the tracks that are northbound for the train, walks out towards 36th Street, and apparently wasn't paying attention and almost walked out in the lane, realizes that a car is coming. She jumps back, spins around, walks back westbound, back over those same tracks of the northbound train, and at that time, she almost made it across and gets hit by the train that was traveling northbound.
And what about the distraction? What hard evidence do you have?
Well, you could see she was looking down, and then she was looking around, and she did look at her, it appears to be a cell phone. We found a cell phone at the scene, but she looked down at an object that looked like her cell phone, and then looks back up, and she was actually looking northbound while the train is coming kind of behind her. So appears that she's looking for someone, or maybe she's late. Just really, her mind must have been somewhere else, not too sure. And doesn't see the train. She's looking north, and the train hits her as she's crossing the tracks.
Did she have buds on?
Didn't look like it, but couldn't tell at the scene.
So just to be clear, so she actually said she almost actually went out onto 36th Street where
Correct.
there was oncoming traffic.
Correct.
And then turned around, and that's when.
Correct.
So just to piggyback on that last question, so she wasn't wearing headphones?
We didn't find any headphones, and you couldn't tell at the scene. It didn't appear that she had headphones in or any earbuds at the time.
So Ken, obviously, just a few months ago, something very similar, message to the public with regards to paying attention around the tracks.
Well, yeah, this is obviously when you got the lights and the bars going, you have to pay attention to this, regardless of what's going on in your life, no matter what's going on in your cell phone or what's going on. Maybe you're in a hurry, there's something going on. You have to pay attention and obey the signs, especially around the LRT in this case here, and being distracted and maybe your mind's somewhere else. Again, you have to pay attention and be focused at the moment, exactly what you're doing, especially when the bars and lights are going, and always crossing any roadway or tracks, regardless if there's lights going or not. You have to be looking both ways to make sure that a vehicle's not coming, in this case like cars or a train for sure. But you gotta, again, it goes right back to looking both ways before you cross the street in case someone happens to be going the wrong way, or who knows what's going down that roadway. Always something to do that is look both ways, take your time, make sure nothing's coming, and then cross that track or that road. But in this case here, very unfortunate circumstances. The lights and bars are going, obviously giving a warning out there, and particularly when you hear those lights and bars, everyone should be alert, including the motorists, everyone around, that there's a train coming or whatever may be happening traffic-wise, to pay attention to that situation. Thank you.
So I'm Brian Whitelaw, and I'm Brian is Brian Whitelaw, Whitelaw. I'm the superintendent in charge of Calgary Transit Public Safety. Our message on behalf of transit is just that this is a moving system. At any given time, we have up to 50 trains out on the system. And again, we remind all people who use this system that they have to take care and precaution and be aware of what's going on in the environment. These tragedies, we've had one earlier this year, this one as well. It's important that people take the time to pay attention to their surroundings and cross safely at these locations. I think that's our main message.
I know that the last time we had a fatality at this crossing, there was talk about how do we regulate this? Can we force people not to have their phones out and have plugs in their ears? Is that something you're looking at again or reconsidered?
That issue we're not looking at in terms of trying to regulate any kind of distracted walking or anything like that. What I can say is that Calgary Transit has a crossing committee that evaluates proactively and reactively as well, and takes a look at all of these types of cases. And so in particular, following the fatality that we had at the Whitehorn station, we actually lowered the crossing lights to account for folks who may not be looking up. So we were trying to lower the lights down to more eye level for people in an effort to increase awareness of approaching trains.
Is there any thought to any kind of a barrier that just prevents people from crossing the track at all when there's a train coming?
So our experience certainly within Calgary Transit is to take a look at in particular high density locations and look at the various technologies. So what we try to do minimally at every LRT location is put in crossings that require people to make at least two decisions in terms of crossing. So often that's something as simple as just the staggered access crossing the system, where they actually have to kind of go left and go right before they actually get onto the right of way. But we are looking certainly at locations like Whitehorn and other locations within transit with high volume of customers to put in crossing arms for pedestrians.
And how far are you away from that?
We have one slated for south at Chinook station, where we've got a high volume of riders. And I know the crossing committee is going to take a good serious look at whether that is a viable solution for this location. Some of the engineering requirements in the area require retrofitting areas with the necessary support for these technologies, but I can tell you that certainly crossing arms are one of the considerations for that station.
And you've done that at the Stampede grounds, not the Stampede, sorry, the football stadium where it's got the big arm that comes down. Do you know if you had better success there with that? Certainly,
employees within Calgary Transit and Calgary Transit peace officers have reported that that technology, crossing arms at Banff Trail Station, has resulted in significant safety improvements at that location as well. We hear that from customers as well. So it's, we've seen it in terms of, we haven't had any kind of fatality since we've had those arms in place. So.
Are swinging gates also another option?
Yeah, so swinging gates are another technology or another idea. The difficulty we have with in every single one of these situations is no matter what the improvement is towards safety, it creates always, every solution creates a new problem. And one of the problems that a swinging gate or a locking gate can create is actually trapping people on the right-of-way, on the transit line. So, we have to be very mindful, and at the end of the day, really this comes down to people being self-aware and being cautious and being careful when they're crossing LRT tracks.
Your response to the fact that the City Council is looking the Green Line, quite a bit of the high area is going to be underground, which will be, are you guys kind of relieved that that's going to be safer?
So again, how to police underground subways and ensure safety in underground subways creates new sets of issues. But certainly from a traffic perspective, there won't be conflicts between vehicles and the LRT, which is a good thing.